Have you ever just been minding your own business or just hanging out, and before you know it, you finish 2 candy bars, or out of nowhere you start eating or just thinking about food? You're not a particularly emotional person. What's going on here? This is what I call non-emotional emotional eating. Hi, my name is Eve, and I love helping people make peace with food in any situation, no matter what is happening in their lives. And so today what I want to talk about is what I call non-emotional emotional eating. So let me give you a few scenarios, maybe you could relate. Have you ever experienced times, like I just mentioned earlier, that you're not thinking about anything, you're certainly not feeling anything, and before you know it, you're already eating food and you're not even hungry, but you notice that you're eating food out of nowhere? Or this other situation that, again, you're not necessarily feeling anything here, but your thoughts are all about food and you almost feel like a ticking time bomb that any minute you're gonna overeat or be out of control with food. And before you know it, usually that ends up happening. And after that happens, you may end up feeling frustrated, confused, mad, hopeless, or afraid. What is that about? Again, I call this non-emotional emotional eating. It's almost as if the behaviors with food, like the eating, especially if it's out of control or especially if it's out of nowhere, or the thoughts of food, when you can't stop thinking about the food that's there or that you want to go and get, it's almost as if the thoughts and the behaviors around food are hijacking your emotions. Well, it's not almost as if that's happening. That's actually what's happening. And what I mean is, for many of us, it's a lot easier to deal with food than it is to deal in the sticky world of emotions. And so what we end up doing is we end up thinking about food or using food in place of actually feeling our feelings. And this could be very confusing because many people might say, hey, I'm not a mad person, or I don't get a lot of emotions. Why is this eating happening? And so what I want to share with you are some tools to help you navigate this confusing, non-emotional, emotional eating. So tool number one, I'm almost afraid to say it. It's not that I'm afraid to say it. I'm afraid when I say it, I'm going to lose credibility with my watchers because I totally know this is way easier said than done. So forgive me in advance. But tool number one is to not eat. If you can. Again, I know this is way easier said than done. So this might mean when you notice the draw to the food or that you're thinking about food a lot, is to actually, strap yourself to the couch. I don't know, tie yourself in your bed or have somebody sit on you and not eat, and notice the feelings that end up coming up. Those are the exact feelings that you are trying to avoid. So that is option number one. Option number two, when you find yourself in this situation, is after you eat the food, notice the feelings that come up. For many people, it's feeling frustrated, it's feeling confused or mad at themselves because they ate that food, or they're feeling hopeless, or maybe even afraid that that eating just happened, or that they're thinking about food so much. So I want you to think about what feeling you have after that happens, and then I want you to ask yourself, where else in your life might you be having these feelings? Are these feelings occurring anywhere else in life? However, you're not giving yourself permission to have that feeling around that certain situation, and instead, you're projecting it onto the food instead. The third tip that could help you navigate this non-emotional, emotional eating is to reach out for assistance. As always, I'm offering you my complimentary food freedom call, and I'd be happy to help you through some of this. And you could sign up at the link below, or if I don't resonate with you, find somebody, a nutrition therapist or a therapist that could help you, who specializes in this, who could help you navigate this eating issue. And the bonus tip I have for you, I think you're going to love this. The bonus tip is don't do anything at all. Don't change anything. Don't try to fix anything or figure anything out or solve anything. Just the fact that you've made it this far into the video and that you're listening and you've learned what you've learned, you can't unlearn this stuff. So things are already going to seem a little bit different from you just from understanding that what's happening with food and the feelings that you're having around what's happening with food are actually feelings that you're having that you're not giving yourself permission to have. I hope that made sense. It totally made sense in my head. So I want to recap now just so I could be sure that you totally understand what I'm saying here. So when you find yourself eating before you even realize what happened, before you know it, you've downed a scoop of ice cream or something, you didn't necessarily even want it, or that you're having these thoughts of food and you're preoccupied with it, again, assuming you're not physically hungry, right? And you're telling yourself that, hey, I'm not an emotional person. What is all of this eating? It's what I call non-emotional emotional eating. That it's the emotions that have been hijacked by your behaviors around food or your thoughts around food, or your thoughts about how your eating went. So some tools that you could use to help you navigate this situation is tool number one is don't eat. Again, I know way easier said than done. This tool isn't for everybody. So that means just sit there and allow whatever needs to come up to come up. Those are the exact feelings that you are avoiding when you turn to food. Another tip that could be very helpful is, let's say you ate anyway and that you're feeling, frustrated, confused, mad, hopeless, afraid, mad at yourself, whatever the feeling that comes up after you've eaten in that way, is to ask yourself, hey, where else in my life could I be having this emotion? Where else would this emotion fit? And you could see, oh, okay, no wonder I'm feeling that way. And you might find that it makes more sense. However, a lot of us have gotten used to taking out our feelings on ourselves or how we feel about food. And so this might be a new way to conceptualize those feelings that you're having on the inside. Instead of taking it out on yourself or on the food, you could actually realize what they actually may be connected to. Guideline number 3 could be to reach out for support. As always, I'm offering you a free call with me called the Food Freedom Call, and there'll be a link to it below. Or this bonus tool that I think some of you might like is don't do anything at all. Just the fact that you've watched this video and you learn what you have and you made the connections that you have from watching it is enough to help you navigate this maybe in a different way or actually learn something different. So anyway, I hope this video was helpful. I hope there is something new that you learned about yourself. I love reading your comments, so feel free to comment below. And if you like this video and you never want to miss a video, I invite you to subscribe. You just click subscribe, and if you want notifications when my next video comes out, you could click the bell as well. So thank you so much for watching, and happy eating.